Robert Simmons. This video is a part of my series, People Who Make a Difference. And we're here again today with my friend and primary care doctor, the naturopathic doctor, Dr. Bill Warnock. Hi, Bill.
Oh, hi, Robert.
It's good to have you on today. I should tell the people watching this, your practice is the Champlain Center for Natural Medicine in Shelburne, Vermont. And I've been a patient of yours for over 25 years, and my enthusiasm for my health and the outcomes I've had by taking your advice, Bill, is why I wanted to talk to you and do these videos.
And you might mention that it's continued halfway across the world.
That's true. I moved to New Zealand 6 years ago, and the one thing that New Zealand didn't have was Bill. So I just keep coming back to America. Every time I do get here, I make a point of seeing Bill, and we have an appointment. And you've been taking care of me that way and with your advice from a distance for the whole time I've been on the other side of the world.
Well, it's been my pleasure. And today we're going to talk about vitamin C.
Oh, well, that's a good vitamin. I think most people know that vitamin C is good for you, but I think they'll be interested to know specifically what you have to say about it.
Okay, vitamin C is probably the most common vitamin that people take. Almost everybody that you talk to takes vitamin C. Oh, I'm coming down with a cold. Yeah, I'm going to take some vitamin C. I'm going to explore the reasons why people should be taking it on a more consistent basis than that those times when they get colds.
Right. I know you've got me taking it every day.
Yes. Vitamin D and vitamin C are really the two vitamins that we cannot get out of our diet. Mm-hmm. Although we can't get any vitamin D out of our diet, we can get a little bit of vitamin C, but it's certainly not adequate. The disease that's caused by not having enough vitamin C is called scurvy.
Oh, yeah.
And not that long ago, a few centuries, people were dying of scurvy left and right, really. And it was a terrible disease to die of. And if you have any children watching, you might want to turn this off. Just joking. But because vitamin C is needed for producing connective tissue collagen, which is basically the glue that holds our body together, when people would get scurvy, they would actually start falling apart.
I know that happened on ships sometimes.
Well, yeah, because they didn't have any fresh vegetables on ships, and there's a little bit of vitamin C in fresh vegetables, and fruit. But an interesting trivia point is the British Navy nicknamed is limeys,
right?
Because the ships that would go on long voyages would carry barrels of limes with them, and everybody would have to have their half a lime every day to prevent scurvy.
So it's sort of to prevent that pathology. It's a low level really of vitamin C intake, it sounds like. But would I be right in thinking that there's an optimal level too?
Yes. So I want to just go back because I promised people the gory details of what's the symptoms of scurvy were.
Oh, all right. Yeah, we wouldn't want to miss that.
I know. So people's teeth would fall out. They would get bruises throughout their body. Their joints would fall apart, so they'd take a step and collapse. At the end stages of it, they would lose their ears and their nose. Patches of skin would fall off.
Wow.
Terrible disease. It would be the worst thing imaginable a person could die of, and this would take months.
So the phrase, "that's me all over," that's from scurvy?
Oh, yeah, I think so. But, all right, enough of this sort of, what would you say, dramatic effect to get...
Dramatic effect and nervously humorous banter. Yeah.
All right. We'll get right down to the meat of why you need vitamin C. From our food in the modern diet, which includes fruits and vegetables, the average person gets somewhere between 60 and 70 milligrams per day. Below 60 milligrams, a person can develop the beginning symptoms of scurvy.
Okay.
Humans are only one of 10 species of animals who do not make their own vitamin C.
Wow. Only 10 species?
Only 10.
Wow.
So most animals make vitamin C and at a much higher level than plants make vitamin C because animals need higher levels of vitamin C. So a goat, for example, is about the same size as humans, and it makes 13,000 milligrams a day.
Wow.
That's compared with the 60 to 70 milligrams per day that we're able to get out of our diet.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Yes, it's very huge. In fact, Linus Pauling, who's one of my heroes, he had basic research that showed how much different animals make.
Right.
That was the basis of his research. Interestingly, and here's another little piece of trivia, it's hard to avoid these things, but Linus Pauling won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in the 1950s, and because of his work against above ground nuclear testing, won the Nobel Prize, Nobel Peace Prize.
Wow, I think a lot of people have forgotten that about him.
But in so doing, he got the ire of J. Edgar Hoover, who was the director of the FBI.
Yeah.
And J. Edgar Hoover considered this un-American because we needed to develop these nuclear weapons, even if it meant higher cancer rates on the East Coast from the fallout from Nevada.
Wow.
So he assigned a 7-man team to wage a disinformation campaign against Linus Pauling.
Wow. Go on. I'm interested in this.
And that was the basis of what a lot of people believe about vitamin C, because that was his current research at the time.
Wow. So you're saying that Pauling, if I'm understanding this right, was getting to the place where he would say that we need a lot more vitamin C than we get, but he had this interference caused by J. Edgar Hoover being kind of opposed to him for a whole different reason.
Right, for his political beliefs against nuclear testing.
I can see why he's one of your heroes.
So one of the pieces of false information, and at that time the government had its fingers in a lot of medical publications, or I should say they had a lot more influence in that, and they could get an article published if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the articles was saying how people could die from too much vitamin C, which is false. But Linus Pauling took 18,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, and when someone asked him why, he said, I just want to prove that I'm not going to die from it.
Uh-huh.
No one really needs this amount, but I'm just making a point.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, he lived to be 96.
Oh, that's a pretty good way to make his point.
Yeah. So going back to the effects of vitamin C, vitamin C is used in hundreds of different processes in the body. So we mentioned the production of collagen, for example, and collagen is the protein glue that holds our body together, and the last step in the production of collagen is converting proline, which is a common amino acid, or common protein I should say, into collagen. Without vitamin C you cannot do that, and so that's the basis of scurvy.
Right.
But that collagen is used throughout our body as, like I said, the glue that holds it together. But blood vessels have collagen in to give them a certain amount of elasticity. So you probably know older folks who they bump against the corner of something and they get a big black and blue mark on their arm. That's because they're not making enough collagen and they're breaking open those blood vessels and bleeding without much trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as we get older, our DNA, because of the number of mutations it gets on a daily basis, mounts up where we're not as effective in making different substances like collagen. So more vitamin C makes more collagen in spite of that lowering of the effectiveness of the genes.
Right, that makes sense.
One of Linus Pauling's discoveries, which was quite interesting, I thought, was that only those animals who do not produce vitamin C develop heart disease.
Wow. Well, of course, if you turn that around, you might think that taking enough vitamin C would help you prevent heart disease.
Well, being a human, yes, but being a horse, for example, no, because horses make vitamin C. And of course, there are various genetic heart defects that result from breeding that all sorts of animals have.
Right.
That's a whole different case. We're talking about injury to blood vessels that results in lying down plaque, which narrows the blood vessels and creates a blockage. So that's the kind of heart disease we're talking about. Well, of course, it's the cholesterol that is laid down as a plaque.
Right.
And plaque is about 2/3 cholesterol and 1/3 calcium.
Okay, yeah.
But the question is, and Linus Pauling attempted to answer this with vitamin C to a certain degree, is why is the plaque laid down in the first place? And that's because there's injury to that blood vessel.
Oh, okay.
Inflammation. And those animals that make their own vitamin C have less of that blood vessel inflammation that leads to plaque formation.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's good. I appreciate you taking us through this. I didn't know any of this.
So that leads to another one of vitamin C's properties, and that is a free radical scavenger.
Mm-hmm.
Now what that means is that when tissue breakdown, let's say a person has a sunburn, it turns red and it kind of spreads, that extra ultraviolet rays have broken down cells and the components of those cells, and you've got errant electrons that are released as a result of that then go through other cells and damage the DNA, and those cells break down. Wow. And so you have this cascade effect of free radicals, which are basically electrons that are just traveling through cells doing damage. And vitamin C, every molecule of vitamin C is able to capture 6 of those electrons.
Okay. So when an electron is not attached to anything else in your body, that's basically what you're saying is a free radical?
Yeah, and it does damage, and it can create mutations in cells and all sorts of things like that.
I know I've heard a lot about, trying to get the level of free radicals in the body lowered as a health benefit.
Right. Now, someone who's watching this and has a little bit of knowledge will also say, well, when vitamin C is taken in too high of amounts, it can create free radicals in the presence of iron, which is true, but we're not going to really discuss that. And you have to get up to massive amounts of vitamin C that can only be obtained through IV dosing.
All right, so like Linus Pauling took 18,000 units, and that's way more than you would have a patient take, I think, generally.
Yes.
So it's even more than that, you're saying, where vitamin C creates free radicals?
Right.
Gotcha.
And because we're limited on how much vitamin C we can absorb out of our gut. A person, if they take too much vitamin C orally, will get diarrhea because that vitamin C stays within the intestines and pulls water in, and you get diarrhea, like it becomes a laxative in that case.
I see. Well, I don't want to rush you to it, but of course, sometime in here, I want to hear what you think you could say about the levels of vitamin C intake through supplements that are kind of the best for us.
Well, first of all, I'm going to get to one of the other uses our body puts vitamin C for.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that use is to activate macrophages, which are basically the first line of defense against a viral or bacterial infection. And that's why people take vitamin C when they're coming down with a cold.
So what's a macrophage?
Macrophage is like the Pac-Man of the immune system. Gobbles something, the virus or the bacteria up, and digests it basically.
We've got those.
We have those, yes. And you need vitamin C to activate those macrophages.
Okay, so that's interesting. So that's what it is. It isn't like just a myth that taking vitamin C at the beginning of a cold is helpful.
No. In fact, Linus Pauling wrote a book called Vitamin C and the Common Cold. His bestseller. Well, and it's still in print today if you want to read it. But the trouble with waiting until you know that you've got the cold to take vitamin C is by the time you know it, you've already had it for 5 to 7 days.
Oh.
And those macrophages would have been best effective during those very early stages.
Oh, that makes sense. So would it be true to say that you can at least mitigate or lessen the effects of a cold if you start taking it as soon as you notice?
Well, yes, that's true. But ideally, a person would take it on a daily basis.
Right, which is what I'm doing.
And the other unique thing about vitamin C, our body still responds to vitamin C like we were making it in our liver. And for those animals that make vitamin C, it's made from glucose.
Okay.
So it's just a steady drip out of their liver into their blood throughout the day. Well, vitamin C has a really short half-life of about a half an hour, which means it's totally out of your system in about 2.5 hours.
So in other words, if you take it, 2.5 hours later, it's gone?
It's gone.
Okay.
So that combined with what I said about the macrophages leads me to what I recommend as the dosing. So for macrophage activity, 500 milligrams in your blood is going to basically activate those macrophages.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the half-life, I recommend that people take it twice a day and at a higher amount. So basically, the dose of vitamin C that I have most people take on a generic basis, 1,000 milligrams twice a day. And I have them take it in a time-release form. The simplest of the time-release forms is a solid tablet whose layers are peeled off as it's traveling through the digestive tract.
Oh, I see.
And the other thing, vitamin C is ascorbic acid. It's a mild acid, but for many people it can upset the stomach being an acid. So I usually have people take a form of it that is called a mineral ascorbate. It has minerals such as magnesium and potassium, manganese attached to it that neutralize that acidic effect.
Oh, I see. Is that the whole reason for those in there, as far as why you do it?
Yeah.
You would do that? Okay.
So 1,000 milligrams twice a day of the mineral ascorbate in a tablet form. Now the problem with this is these tablets, 1,000 milligrams is a pretty good sized tablet. So if you have trouble swallowing those tablets, that creates a problem. And in that case, I usually recommend that people take a mineral ascorbate powder and drink it throughout the day, a total of 2,000 milligrams, put in their water and sipping it throughout the day.
Now, I suppose if you're okay with pills and they weren't quite so big, you could take 500 milligram pills and still do it that way, or?
You could.
Yeah.
Yep. The other thing, so we've mentioned collagen production with vitamin C. We mentioned the free radical scavenging effect of vitamin C. What else? We mentioned the macrophage activating properties of vitamin C. Vitamin C is also needed by the adrenal glands in times of stress. The adrenal glands use up most of the vitamin C in the body.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So do you go on then?
So you could say, in times of stress at least, vitamin C supports our physical reaction to stress, helps us recover faster, helps us mount a acceptable, appropriate stress reaction.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have a personal question, but maybe it'll be relevant to some of the people that are watching. I take 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C twice a day.
Yep.
Because I can swallow those pills without a problem, and I want to optimize what I can get out of it. Is there any reason for that? I mean, is there any reason why am I taking more than I need, or
No.
What do you have to say about it?
I'm trying to, in this series anyway, minimize the amount of pills a person's taking.
I see.
But 4,000 milligrams a day, you're going to have much more free radical scavenging, much more effect on collagen, and all the other things that vitamin C does.
So people who are not so concerned with taking the minimum, that's an option, and there are some benefits to it, at least up to a certain point.
Right. And I have to say that's how much I take. I've been taking 4,000 milligrams a day for the last 30 years probably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe closer to 40 actually. There's a couple of other things that vitamin C does. The eyes use lots of vitamin C because there is lots of free radical damage to the eyes in just the way they're built, and the clear fluid, and the nerve that's in the eye. So the eyes use lots of vitamin C. In fact, when I was in survival training in the Air Force, they encouraged us to eat the eyes of the animals we trapped to get vitamin C.
Wow. So if you don't want to take the pills, you can just get some animal eyes and...
Yeah, I haven't really investigated that since I was in the Air Force, so...
I was kind of kidding.
I know, but, well, maybe I should look that up, and I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, all right.
Vitamin C is also needed in the production of dopamine. Taking vitamin C will optimize dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter production.
Mm-hmm. Now, is dopamine, maybe I'm getting into the weeds, and you just stop me if I am, but I'm just remembering, I think, that dopamine is involved in that Parkinson's. Is that true?
Right. People aren't producing enough dopamine. And it's also true in many cases of depression. Mm-hmm. Dopamine production is affected, sometimes in blood pressure, sometimes in attention deficit. But I'm not jumping to the conclusion that vitamin C can be used to treat those things.
Right. No, I was thinking more as a lifestyle choice that may have benefits in terms of a lower likelihood of contracting some of these things.
Well, I haven't read a study that would support that, but that's not to say they're there or that even anybody's ever looked at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we don't want to make claims that aren't true, but it's just my mind going from what you're saying onto things I think about. But I will say this, I don't know if you're at a time for us to conclude this one, but I've learned so much about vitamin C in this conversation. I mean, I've known you for 25 years. You've talked to me a lot about the reasons to take the supplements I take. But even so, I bet there's at least half a dozen things I learned today about vitamin C. And it certainly makes me, if I could possibly be any more committed to taking it than I was when I sat down with you, I would be.
Okay, so people come to me sometimes, and I'm not exaggerating, they say, okay, I'm healthy now, I want to stay healthy, but I don't want to take a lot of pills. In fact, I'll take 2 supplements. All right, those 2 supplements are vitamin D and vitamin C.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'll take more than that, so maybe we'll do another video or 2 before we stop.
All right.